Ladies and gentlemen, do we have sound? Finally, I think we have sound, right? Man, what a journey this has been. From starting up the stream until having no sound to having sound again. Uh, the worst thing is you're gonna get live. Everything is working before you're going live. You're gonna try and see what the settings are. You've tested everything. It's not working. You're gonna go stress out trying to find it, but I believe we have sound now. So welcome to Snetterton, everybody. We have currently Maarten post, as we're gonna talk about it, of course. We had Maarten post in P1. Right now it's Mr. V, me, Zien. Maarten post in P2, William Cairns in P3, and J. Wilbrink in P4 with, of course, who else than Matthias de Munster in P5 with McGowan, Gillies, Winspear and Lee all dropping down the order a little bit, but my guy in P11 now had a good start at the Laguna last week, but is now in P11, and we have Cherry Moore, Vasic of course, Anderson is back from Mickey Mouse Land. We've got P. Marston, we've got Nick Broom and C. Privet. Sounds good. Matthew in the house as well. We've got Mr. GMC as well in the chat, of course. And as we were talking about the guys on the track, Mr. Anderson back from Mickey Mouse Land in the pit lane right now. And I do believe we see Mr. Roydy or R. Stapley here in P18 in that well-known color scheme of his. Of course, we've got Krupian, we've got Gluak, and we've got Popovic, and we've got one crazy guy in DM2. But if we're gonna talk about Snetterton, everybody, it's a track, and we're gonna see if we can find somebody who is starting a lap. We've got William Cairns right here, but we've got car number 8 and car number 340, everybody. Might be good to go to car number 78 with Mr. J. Wilbrink, and we're gonna go on board. So Snetterton, what a track it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's tight, it's fast, it's gonna be possible chaos happening, but we do not hope so, of course. But Wilbrink is now going through, and I have to say it correctly, everybody. I have to say it correctly. Sorry, I am sorry, but we are already too far in the lap. We're better off to go to Mr. Sorry for the bad start, everybody. I'm still thinking about all those sound issues that we had. But we are now here with Mr. Winspear. He is gonna go through the last left-hander, and then we've got the straight of today's Snetterton. And Snetterton is such an amazing, tight, technical track. I mean, just get off for a little bit. But we're gonna come up on the first right-hander, everybody, and then that's called Ridges. And Ridges is, I mean, it's not that wide. It is not that narrow either, but you want to go close to the curve, let that car run wide, and it's not my best track at all, but we can look at track 7. Then we're going to get a 180-degree second turn called Montreal, and then we're going to make our way to Palmer, the next 90-degree left-hander. I would say for this track, in regards of the track, medium speed on this track, slow on any other track, of course. And then we're gonna come up to Agostini. I don't know who made these names up. We're in England, everybody. We are in the UK, so if anybody watching knows where all these names come from, please enlighten me. And then it's the Hamilton corner. It's a 45-degree left-hander, pretty mid-speed as well, as the track is not wide, as we said before. Then it's a tight right-hander called Augis, and it's gonna run out wide a little bit, so it's tight, but it opens up later on. And then you're gonna go through Williams and onto the Bentley straight, everybody. Bentley straight, and do not make a mistake in that braking zone at the end when you come at Brundle corner, because it's a left-hander Brundle, then it's a right-hander Nelson, left-hander here. If you come in too fast, you're gonna miss the whole Nelson corner, as we see Winspear just going off a little bit and half spinning, trying to get back onto the power. No problem though, we're in the practice still. it's all what the practice is for, of course. We're not gonna continue, but we would have been going through Nelson. We are now standing still right in front of the bomb hole, and then you're gonna go through that long right-hander called Corum, and then it's the left-hander Murray's to come back onto the straight and finish off that lap. But yeah, Snetterton, everybody. We have been looking at the track and we're looking at the clouds. We do have a little cloud cover today. We're looking at the pit lane and everybody is in the pit lane except for two guys with the car number 985 and 18 or 8 I must say, on the track, still trying to get a lap in before practice ends. But we're gonna get qualifying in about 1 minute, and as I said before, excuse me for the sound delay, for the issues at the start. I tested everything this afternoon and it was working. For one or the other reason, the mic just didn't want to work this time. I do hope you all had a very, very wonderful Tuesday. Tuesday, the day, the evening, the afternoon, doesn't matter. I've been relaxing most of the time. I've been playing another game. I've been preparing here. I've been working on the XCL TV stream for a little bit, but this is of course SimPlay, and we're gonna stay with SimPlay tonight. So I go working. I've been talking with Matt a little bit, or last week I've been talking with Matt a little bit about things behind the scenes, and not so much. I mean, it's not all like, how do we say that, Matt? I don't know if you're watching, but it's not all that much. But we try to just try and get aligned on a couple of things. And maybe, I mean, Matt has ideas, Matt has nice things. I'm the one that's asking, is this possible? Is that possible? But we're just gonna do it as SimPlay does it. That's a good thing, of course. Sometimes you need people in your life that slow you down, ladies and gentlemen. That's a good thing. That's a good thing for sure. And of course, practice is over. We've got, I believe, car number 8 was already on the track, 186. When he comes across that start-finish line, we're gonna go qualifying. And everybody is waiting. Everybody must be thinking to themselves, we've been looking at that pit lane for so long. Why did car number 186 go onto the track? So I'm not gonna call you any names, but Mr. Moore, Cherry Moore, thank you. No, just kidding. Finish your lap, try and get a lap in, of course. With Snetterton, as we said before, is very, very technical, and especially with about 21 guys on the grid today, it could get very, very nasty or absolutely great. Absolutely great, and that's what we're hoping for. That is what we're hoping for, and we're gonna try and see. I'm gonna guess it's Stapley, Gillies, Anderson, Maiga, Cairns, or Mr. Post being the first one, and it is Mr. Post. Maarten Post, first one on the track, and as I usually do, I'm gonna watch Mr. Maarten Post do his lap, and then as soon as we come through the last corner, we're gonna go take that POV once again for a possible first fast flying qualifying lap without mistakes. And if there's anything wrong with the sound, ladies and gentlemen, if we need more game sound, more mic sound, just let me know, because we've got the sliders, as we've said before, the sliders decide how much you guys hear of the commentary or how much you hear of the cars, and we want it to be balanced, not one sounding way louder than the other. But looking at Maarten Post, just warming up those tires, trying to find the max limits of this track. The track limits, of course, left and right. Curbstones, yes. Grass, you don't want that. But we're now on the Bentley straight, and we're gonna come up to Brundle and Nelson, left-right hand combination, and come too hot into Brundle, and you're gonna miss whole Nelson. And Maarten did take a little bit of the grass and the curbs on the inside, but you've got William Cairns hot on his ass to start that quali lap. So you do want to have a clean lap with no traffic to try and maximize on this track. he comes. Marta Post coming through the final corner with, as we said, William Cairns hot on his tail. But we're going on board and I'm gonna take a little sip of my drink. I'm gonna let you guys enjoy one lap of Snetterton, of course, and be prepared to see some curves left and right and some possible tight corners. So I'll shut up, let you guys enjoy the sound of that McLaren GT4 and get ready for turn 2 and turn 3 and the rest of the track in this little moment of silence for me. Of course, I'm not gonna stay quiet all the time, guys. We see already some props, some scenery from besides the track, on the track itself. So somebody already smashed some things over, and we're back into Brundle, and it's a right-hander called Nelson. Take a little bit of that inside curve as I can see it now. Miss the sausage, of course, and then you're gonna come through the bomb hole and on your way to Corsa, that long right-hander. It's almost 180 degrees, but in a very long configuration, everybody. It's a tight left-hander through Murray's and onto the start-finish line. But we're gonna go back into that TV cam, see what Marta Post is gonna be putting down onto the board for the first quali run. And Cairns just 13 thousandths faster. These guys are gonna get a move on. You see McGowan coming in just a tenth behind William Cairns and Marta Post, but McGowan was very strong in that Chevy on Suzuka, on Laguna, I mean. And of course you had McGowan. What was it? McGowan was also pretty strong in both races, I believe, in Laguna, in California last week. We've got, of course, Wilbrink half a second behind Cairns, and then we have Mr. Garrett Anderson. Garrett Anderson, if you're listening, I do miss the Mickey Mouse ears as outside mirrors, basically. Outside mirrors. The side. Need some Mickey Mouse ears on those things. And Privet, 3.5 seconds behind. We've got Krupian and Stapley is just falling behind. And Stapley, I mean, I've seen him drive a couple of times, of course, over the last couple of months, as I'm yawning in between. But he usually is pretty consistent in the races. Is maybe not the fastest in qualifying runs, but is definitely consistent in the races. So could be jumping down the grid a little bit, but I do expect him to find his way forward again. We have William Cairns, who's now in P2, everybody. We've got Mizine with a 55.0, 1.4 seconds ahead of these former P1 drivers, Marta Post and William Cairns. And I'm gonna just, if I'm wrong, everybody, E.I. McGowan, that's Ian, I'm guessing, Ian McGowan. I mean, we do not want to make up names, but sometimes it's easier to just speak something, to speak your mind, basically. But we do see a big gap from P1 to P2, even if that's Cairns, if that's McGowan, if it's Wilbrink, Post, the Monster, Gillies, my guy, it doesn't matter. But the gap to P1 at the moment with the rest of the field is 8 tenths, everybody. So the rest of the field, with about 3.5 minutes to go, needs to get a move on and get those tires screeching, I guess. Because we need to see some more pace from these guys. The good thing is, besides P1 to P2, the rest of the field is pretty much pretty much we say, because we do have a gap of about 4 tenths from 5 to 6 at the moment. But pretty much tenths, a couple of thousands, hundreds. I mean, this is looking good for a competitive race at Snetterton, and Snetterton is a track you either like it or you hate it. You can. I'm the one that hates it, but it does give you nice racing, ladies and gentlemen. So it's definitely a track to be putting on your calendar as a absolute feast for the eyes when everything goes okay. Mizin with an epic lap time, yes, 55.0. 8 tenths ahead of P2, and I think we all know William Cairns, McGowan, Wilbrink, the Monster Post, and Gillies, Maiga. These guys are not slow at all, but for Mizin being 8 tenths ahead of the rest of the field with 2 minutes to go, these guys can get 2 more laps in. And do we think Cairns is a little bit held up by Martin Post? I mean, we are not the ones to be judging that. I'm not a steward, I'm just here as a guest, but do we think Cairns is staying too close behind Post, or is Post not leaving Cairns to pass him? What, I mean, you could maybe try and create a little bit of a gap for yourself, but it's only a 10-minute qualifier, everybody. You do want to get as much laps in, and waiting for somebody to drive ahead and somebody being behind you as well. What do you want to do? Do you want to risk? Do you want that gap? Do you not want that gap? You do not want to give that McGowan in the Chevy behind you a slipstream as well, because that Chevy is already a beast, of course. Enough with Cairns and Post, everybody. Cairns is, of course, has been going for, I mean, has been improving by about 2.5, 3 tenths though. So the gap is now 5.5 tenths, and Post lets him go. And Post is gonna try and get another lap in, of course, I guess. "40 seconds on the clock, everybody. We're going into the third to last corner right now, called Nelson. And then we're gonna get through the bomb hole. Then it's Cora. And the last left-hander called Murray's onto the start-finish straight. And can these guys get another lap in? They should be, right? They should be able to get another lap in. To get close to Mizin in P1. Cairns gets another lap in. I'm sure. Yes, he does. Marta gets another lap in, but McGowan is finished. McGowan is done, I believe, with today's qualifying. No, he is not. McGowan is still going strong, everybody. So these top guys can still get that car, and we see Cairns there. Cairns is done with today's qualifying. Marta Post goes along. Goes past Cairns. Cairns put it nicely into the grass. Nobody had an issue with that. But Cairns and Post and McGowan, what can they do? And Matthias the Munster, ladies and gentlemen. We had, of course, McGowan there in P2, I believe. Cairns takes P2. Then Post improves by a little bit, and McGowan just drops back with the Munster coming back in 4th place. So McGowan is gonna have to push that Chevy to the max in this last lap. Tires there, that tire wall, or that scenery, that little protection for the inside of the corner is laying in a not perfect position out there. After the race, or after the quali, it will be reset, of course, but believe me, we will see a lot of poles, a lot of tires, a lot of stuff laying on the tracks after this first couple of laps, I believe. And it's McGowan. We're gonna stay here with McGowan, and McGowan is done, everybody. McGowan is done. So we do have car number 36. Where is car number 36, everybody? Marta Post. Last lap. What can he do? Can he improve? Can he take P2? Is he gonna stay P3? He takes P2, ladies and gentlemen. Takes P2 by about 1500s, 1700s, everybody. P2 for Marta Post in that last lap, with Cairns just losing out, just going off the track, taking a track limit or dirtying that lap, and Post with a little bit of, maybe a little angel on his shoulders, but P1 to P2 is still half a second, ladies and gentlemen, with Cairns, or Post in P2, Cairns in P3, and the monster in fourth, just ahead of McGowan, with Wilbrink coming in behind him, or behind them, I should say. Sorry for the misunderstanding. In sixth, we've got Winspear in seventh and Steve Gillies in eighth in that trusty Ginetta of his. And then we have, of course, Maiga in P9, Cherry Moore in 10th, Pospisil in 11th, and Garrett Anderson in the AMG in P12. We've got Vasic, another AMG in P13, Privet in 14th, and Mr. R. Stapley in the Ginetta in P15. We've got Gluak in 16th, Popovic in 17th, and Jay Lee in 18th. Then it's Krupian and Broom and P. Marston with the Silly M2 in the back of the field, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna go through the field. We're gonna try and get you guys a nice little view of today's grid. I think this is the max that we can do with the last Aston just into view on the starting grid. Talking about the pit stop times, this is a no pit stop race, of course, so if you do not have to pit, but you do get a drive-through, it's gonna cost you around 19 seconds. So drive-through 19 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very short pit lane, I would say, but if you're battling, if you're losing out, if you do get that 19 seconds behind your name, that's gonna cost you your race on such a short track. Ladies and gentlemen, we're warming up. We are warming up. And we do wish everybody good luck. And I think the first 1 or 2 laps, I mean, you always hope for clean starts and massive overtakes, massive side-by-side racing. But Snetterton is a tricky track, everybody. So if we do get through the first lap without incidents, that's going to be an applause for everybody on track today. And here we have a little bit of info for everybody watching about Snetterton. Is another of the post-war generation of ex-airfield servants. Britain is littered, or the UK is littered with, how do we say that? Renovated old airfields or rescaped into tracks. Silverstone, I believe Snetterton, I believe Donington Park as well, for the people from the UK. I believe there is a whole load of ex-airfield tracks in the UK. So this is one of them, and this is definitely, I mean, it's not my favorite, but it is a nice track to be looking at racing, everybody. It's amazing. Guys on the Bentley Straight, and everybody is trying to show who they are. We've got Mizin in the black Mercedes AMG, of course. You've got Post in that black and green McLaren GT4. You've got Cairns in the black and yellow Ginetta. You've got Matthias de Munster there with the white, or white with pink, or pink on white AMG, and then you've got McGowan in that black on blue or blue on black Chevy there, and then you've got Wilbrink in his trusty Aston Martin, and you've got Winspear there as well, just behind in that 700 Porsche Cayman GT4. You've got Gillies, you've got Maiga there as well. It's a couple of names in the front of this race, and I think on any track, or it might differ per driver, but on any track, all of these drivers here in the top 10 could possibly be taking home the win. the track needs to suit them, the track needs to suit the car, but all these guys here at the front are capable of winning, and that's not to speak badly of the guys behind, but everybody has a favorite track, everybody has a preferred car and track combo, but most of the people driving the same car all the time. That's a good thing to see, but we're on the start-finish straight, everybody, and we have already been in the helicam, of course, so we're getting ready, everybody is lining up, and we're gonna try and focus on the battles before we are gonna start getting the green in a little bit, but as we get to T1, we're gonna go back through the field to give you all, or try to give you all, the perfect start of this race with the green lights, and we're going up to the first corner of the day called Rich's right-hander, and then we're on to Montreal with a couple of guys already getting close to each other. No major incident. Oh, and that was, I believe, Jay Lee and Popovic, I believe. No, Gluak. Jay Lee and Gluak. But throughout the whole field, everybody, we have here Gluak, who has fallen back, had that incident, of course, in T1, coming out of T1. A little, I mean, it was just a tap on the rear, but being already in a corner, getting a tap, that car spins around very quickly. It doesn't matter which car you drive, ladies and gentlemen. But we've got Mizine here over here. Still in P1, but behind him is Marta Post, William Cairns, the Monster kept his position as well, McGowan kept his position, Wilbrink as well, and Gillies, in my opinion, has overtaken Winspear, I believe, and Micah was just ahead of Cherry Moore. So these guys are pretty much a couple of positions have swapped, but these guys have been starting in the right order. We see Gillies battling with Winspear. So we're gonna go into the TV cam, everybody. We're gonna see what's happening over here. You see Gillies and Micah. Winspear and Micah, I should say. Winspear and Micah battling it out, and Winspear had a little moment coming out of or coming into Nelson, just slid out wide and touched the grass, so couldn't get back on track, couldn't get the traction down, and now he is behind Micah. We've got Wilbrink close to McGowan in the Chevy, so possible moves are gonna be made here. In the meantime, looking through the field, we've got Anderson in P11, you've got Pospisil very close in the Chevy, and you've got Mr. D. Vasic as well, with Privet close behind, but everybody is still close behind. So we're gonna focus on Wilbrink versus McGowan for the next lap. And then hopefully everybody settles down, everybody finds their respective place on the grid or in the split, and we get some racing going. Wilbrink is falling back to McGowan, everybody. We're not gonna focus on this, we're gonna focus over here. We've got Pospisil trying to get to the backside of Anderson. Anderson in that green and black AMG, the 95 AMG. Pospisil in the blue Chevy, of course. And this is a nice view, right? We're looking up under those boards over the track, but looking down under it, over that whole straight, the last bit of the straight is absolutely amazing. We do see the gaps getting bigger already, and that's for the broadcast. I mean, it's nice to have all small gaps, it's nice to look at, but for a broadcast to be focusing on a battle and to be picking out some battles, it's better to have 3, 4, 5 battles on track that you can watch and that you can switch between, but don't listen to the broadcast, just keep racing, guys, keep on racing. And when we see McGowan and Wilbrink very close here, they were almost side by side for a moment, and the funny thing is you've got Gillies coming closer as well. So this is going to be a possible three-man train. With Gilly showing the nose. Wilbrink not sure if he should go all the way to the inside, but Gillies and Wilbrink side by side coming into turn 3. And McGowan is in the left turn, driving away from Wilbrink, while Gillies and Wilbrink get it on. Easy is flying, everybody. 1.7 seconds ahead of Martin Post already. Cash almost a second behind Post and the Monster 1.5. So the top 3 guys are definitely driving away from the rest of the field. But Matthias de Munster on his side driving away from McGowan. McGowan is possibly going to try and pick up the pace now that he's not having to defend from Wilbrink, because Wilbrink needs to look in his rear view mirror to Gillies, while Gillies has to stay aware of Maiga just behind. We've got Crosby, Seal and Vasic. I was lying to you guys again. We've got Anderson and Pospisil and Vasic just behind, but these guys are getting it on as well. With that M4 also close, Mr. Privet and Popovic. And these guys, we've got Anderson, Pospisil, we've got Vasic, Privet and Popovic. Very, very close. It's not close enough to be side by side or battling all the time, but one of these guys makes a little slip, a little bit of oversteer, a little bit of early braking, a little bit of late braking, and having to lift off to make sure you make the corner or can steer and get back on the throttle again. But one mistake and these guys could possibly be losing 2 positions or people breathing down their neck in the split of a second. This is interesting, everybody. We do not want to miss out. Sorry for cutting that view of that battle with those 3-4 guys short, but we've got Cairns getting closer to Martin Post. So battle for P2 and P3. That's what we all want to see, right? Since the split. We've got Wilbrink 7/10, Gilly 7/10, Maiga 8/10. So everybody is kind of separated in at the same kind of distance. The rest of the field is also slowly growing or building the gaps to one another. Or you're losing out, just the way that you're looking at it. But we like to be positive. Everybody is building their own respectable gaps, and Martin Post is the one losing that gap little by little to William Cairns in the Ginetta. Cairns on the inside. The next corner is gonna go to the left, but Martin Post is already passed by William Cairns. Cairns there with that late turn in to the inside, and Martin just going out wide a little bit. So great move and great insight in what Martin was gonna do by Cairns. But that McLaren though, boys, that McLaren on the straights, is Cairns gonna be safe? He looks to be safe. Here in the back, we've got P. Marston in the blue Aston Martin, we've got Fupion there in the blue on black, or black on blue, we should say Chevy, and Broom there in the other white and blue Aston Martin. So these 3 guys, now the closest guys on the track, but of course Martin Post is still behind William Cairns. We've got Wilbrink, who also makes a jump in the split time, because the split is a little bit slower, and that might be good for us, ladies and gentlemen, but makes a jump 3/10 behind McGowan. McGowan is very consistent in that Chevy. We've seen that on Laguna, we've seen that throughout the Whodarron races. You've got Gillies there in the Ginetta. I've seen Gillies. Last week we kind of kind of black boxed him in the VC as he was the only one joining for the podium interviews, but I've already made my excuses and I've already said it on the stream I did yesterday. So Gillies is not getting black boxed again. Post in the split time stays very, very close behind Cairns in P2, so Post still has a chance to keep the pressure up and try and get Cairns to sweat. And Garrett Anderson is trying to find his way to the backside of Sherry Moore, and Pospisil is trying to follow Garrett Anderson around to possibly or maybe get that battle going, the three-man battle. Post is getting very, very close now, ladies and gentlemen. 2.5 tenths. So it's nice to see, and we're gonna go on board with Martin. We're gonna go on board with Mr. Martin Post because it's nice to sometimes switch cameras, my personal opinion, it's nice to switch cameras. It's not when the gaps get bigger than they show on the split time, but it's nice to see what's happening on track. Go back through the field in just a little bit. We're gonna see these guys go onto the Bentley straight and then into Brundle. And once we are in Brundle and nothing has happened, we're gonna switch over to Garrett Anderson, getting closer and closer to Cherry Moore. Was 8.5 tenths, is now 6.5 tenths according to the split time. With Pospisil was 6 tenths behind, is now 4.5 tenths. So these guys are slowly but surely getting closer to that three-way battle that we all want to see. As we saw Martin Post there, we didn't have him in the screen, but we saw Matthias de Munster was on the track. Martin Post or Cairns was very, very close to getting that car fully on the grass over there. But it is time, ladies and gentlemen, to start watching this battle. We've got Garrett Anderson just a second behind Cherry Moore, has lost a little bit of time to P10, but Pospisil getting all over the backside of that AMG from Garrett Anderson. We still have that starting clip with Mr. Gluak saved, everybody, so if we do want to watch that later, we can. It was not such a big incident as we showed it right away, but we do have it saved. No major incidents happened since. Oh, but we've got Cherry Moore going wide, losing a lot of time there in Montreal. So it's up to Garrett Anderson to put the pressure up, get Cherry Moore to sweat a little bit, lose control of that car, or just show the nose, try and do something like brake a little bit earlier, but take a little bit more speed out of the corner, or keep a little bit more mid-speed cornering. And you want to keep that pressure up. You want to try something. Go left, go right, look around. So it's time for an onboard, everybody, and we're gonna see what Garrett Anderson is doing, chasing Cherry Moore down. On the Bentley straight, everybody, we're gonna get a hard braking zone here at that overhang, on that viaduct, or on that tunnel, how do we say. We're going through Brundle, right-hander Nelson, and Cherry Moore loses the back end of that Chevy just a little bit, with Garrett Anderson just tucking hugging the inside of that right-hander a little bit too much to really get a good exit. But this long right-hander, you see Cherry Moore there. That Chevy seems to be wiggling a little bit. Like, is it the setup? Is it the unfamiliarity with this track? You never know. Or I don't know, because I can't read minds, everybody. I'm not a telepathic, how do you say that? A paragnost. I do not talk with ghosts, or I'm not that kind of guy, everybody. But We've got Pospisil very, very close. So Anderson should start to look backward instead of forward, with Cherrymore being lucky and probably very, very happy. Pospisil is gonna try and make a move. No, does not make a move. Very, very wise. So the distance, or the gap was a little bit too big to start outbraking somebody, and that could have ended in tears. William Cairns seems to be settling into that P2 nicely, with Post now 5.5, 6 tenths behind. You've got Wilbrink, who is also 6 tenths behind, but the Monster 1.2 was, I believe, 1.9, 1.7, so the Monster possibly slowly gaining on Post with 15 minutes to go. Anyway, we're almost halfway, and we're gonna hear that announcement in about 4 seconds. Halfway through, keep it up. And that's the message you want to hear if you're battling, if you're charging up to somebody. So keep it up for everybody that's battling on track. Keep it up if you haven't crashed, if you haven't gone off the track yet. Because as we say, we see Cherrymore with a big bounce coming over the inside curb through Nelson, and it's all to play for Garrett Anderson there again. It's just a split second, just a little mistake, and somebody is up your bum, everybody. These three guys are making the show right now. I mean, we can look at Cairns trying to hunt down Mizin. We've got Cairns and Post, of course, still close. You've got Matthias de Muns, who has lost 5 tenths again to Martin Post, but we can watch Wilbrink, we can watch Gillies. 3-man battle right here. This is what we do want to see, ladies and gentlemen. So don't mind me if I do, but this 3-man battle is starting to get exciting. Everybody is making mistakes. We've got Cherrymore making mistakes. We've got Garrett Anderson making small mistakes, and you've got Pospisil, who might not have the outright same speed as these guys, as he just goes wide and off the track, everybody. And that's Pospisil, absolutely. As we are talking about it, like, these guys are starting to make small mistakes. And I was going to say, he might not have the outright speed, but he is consistently behind Garrett Anderson, so he could be planning something, or just be patiently waiting. And as we were trying to say, that he goes off the track, and I mean, this might have been an old airfield, but taking off without saying goodbye like that is definitely not what we want to see over here. So that's our 3-way battle done, everybody. No more 3-way battles, and breathing room for Garrett Anderson. Garrett Anderson can only look forward right now. No more looking in your rear view mirror, because rear view mirror is going to be very empty, with Privet being 6.5 seconds behind. Martin Post, though, everybody, as we had Pospisil making that mistake, Martin Post has found his way from 6.5 6 tenths behind to the backside of William Cairns again, and you see him lurking in the background over there. Matthias de Munster in P4 currently, but loves to see these guys fighting and getting that AMG into the mix as well. And it's funny to see, right? Because William Cairns has been closing that gap to Mizin, while Post has been closing the gap to Cairns. And in the meantime, and if the split is going to be updated, I believe, if the eyes ain't lying, everybody, the Monster is slowly closing that gap as well. So we could be looking at a very exciting last 10 minutes of race number 1 tonight. .4 for Cairns to Mizin, 3 tenths for Post to Cairns, and the Monster 2.2. So the Monster is actually losing time on post right now. But these guys, very interesting to see. We've got this camera set up right here. It's not the cockpit cam like you have the wheel POV or the driver's POV, but it is one of the stationary cameras in the car. And while we were looking at all of this, we see in the split time that Garrett Anderson has overtaken Jerry Moore, everybody. So I am kind of curious what happened over there, because Jerry Moore is not losing a lot of time, so it might have been a little mistake. Garrett Anderson might have just outbraked him, and that's what's gonna happen when you're switching positions, everybody, or switching places in the splits. And you see that gap from Cairns to Mizine, 8 tenths now. It was 1.9, went down to 1.4, went down to 1 second. Then it went to 8, and now it's 9 tenths, everybody. So these guys extending, closing, extending, closing. It's gonna be an exciting last 9.5 minutes. Less than 10 minutes to go. And these guys are getting closer by the leg. Do we have any other, before we start seeing any major battles, as we see Maarten Post just flashing Cairns a little bit to get him out of his comfort zone, but these guys are well experienced drivers, so a little bit of flashing is not gonna hurt anybody. Don't flash when you're in public streets though, everybody. Not good, not good. We've got Jerry Moore still behind Garrett Anderson. We did want to have a little look. He tried to show the nose a little bit, but it's too far away to make a move. Throughout the whole field, we've got Croupion in a Chevy as well, trying to get closer to Jay Lee. I believe Lee and Gluak had a little run-in in the beginning. Gluak is possibly trying to make up some time, because split time says 4 laps down from the leaders, and these guys are 2 laps. So is far down, trying to unlap himself, in my opinion. But looking at these guys, we've got William Cairns in post, battling it out. We've got Steve Gillies and Jay Wilbrink side by side again, and these guys have been side by side in turn 3 before, and they survive again. Side by side on Snetterton, everybody, and we do not want to exaggerate too much, but side by side on Snetterton with corners and possible multiple apexes, or late steering, or you brake a little bit later, you steer in later, you kind of make a V shape instead of a round shape. People have different driving styles, a little bit of oversteer, moments that happen in a race. Side by side on this track is very awesome, but it's also very stressful. The good thing is, and that's what we like to see, of course, we've got Wilbrink in the Aston Martin just ahead of Steve Gillies, and you see that Chevy of McGowan getting closer and closer to the backside of Gillies, which is possibly gonna give Wilbrink in the 78 Aston Martin a little bit of breathing room, because Gillies has been breathing down his neck for the most part of this race. Maarten Post and William Cairns, everybody. You gotta say it, these guys, Maarten Post started in P2, William Cairns started in P3. Cairns took that P2 pretty quickly, but Post has not given up and is still chasing down William Cairns for that P2 position. Matthias de Munster is losing time on these guys, and Wilbrink is 8.2 seconds behind the Munster. So the Munster, I mean, as much as we like to see him race, is driving a very lonely Snetterton race 1 today. The battle for P2 is ongoing, everybody, but these guys, I mean, 3 cars, I mean, I can't say it enough, 3 cars is better than 2 cars. And I do hope McGowan, if we see that split time 1.2 seconds, I hope we're going to see McGowan get a little bit closer to put pressure on Steve Gillis and make this fight more exciting than it already is. For a second I was worried we didn't have sound again, but luckily we do have sound. But Marta Post, everybody, and this is what I mean. We're looking at, of course, Steve Gillies, Wilbrink and McGowan, and Post takes P2 from Cairns, and believe me, Cairns went up here in that second to last corner. At the end of it, it's that long right-handed. Cairns went up on the inside of Marta Post, kind of claimed the better exit and was ahead of Post. So believe me, Post is not gonna let the door open again at the end of that long right-hander for William Cairns. These guys are very, very similarly based, so anything can happen, and we are definitely waiting for something, for one more overtake, one more moment. Other than that, I'm gonna be honest, with 4 minutes to go, and it's never good to say that before the race ends. Other than that, turn 1 incident and people just taking a couple of curbs too aggressively and bouncing off, and that moment with Pospisil, of course. No major incidents. Very, very clean race 1 for these boys in the Whodarron Cup round 6 at Snetterton. So props to you all. Props to you all. Gonna do one more onboard, everybody. Ginetta, of course, right-hand drive, exactly like the UK boys like it. For me, it's a little bit different when I'm driving right-hand drive, but we're not gonna talk about that now. William Cairns gonna try to get to the backside of that McLaren, but on that Bentley straight and any straight with that McLaren, you can just see that McLaren flying off, literally flying off, and this long right-hander is what we're going to be looking at. Cairns went up on the inside at the end of this turn and took Marta Post by surprise. He's too far away to do that now, but you see Marta hugging that inside real good now at the end, and that's what he was going to have to do to keep Cairns from making the same overtaking maneuver again. And then in the meantime, while we were talking about the battle Post versus Cairns, we see Steve Gillies has overtaken Mr. Wilbrink in the 78 Aston, and it's McGowan now trying to get to the backside of Wilbrink, but Wilbrink is not giving up and is going to try and stay very close to Gillies, of course. Post in the meantime is 5/10 away from Cairns right now, and the battle here is Gillies, Wilbrink and McGowan, exactly in that order. Garrett Anderson in P10 had that battle with Cherry Moore. Cherry Moore could stay behind him for quite a couple of laps, but is now behind Anderson in 1.6 seconds behind is quite the gap, with one more lap to go, everybody. So if Garrett Anderson doesn't make any crazy moves or doesn't make any major mistakes, this is going to be a P10 finish in race 1 for Garrett Anderson. Where do we see Pospisil? Pospisil has dropped back down the field, everybody. Possibly made another mistake. And Popovic in the AMG is of course another name. Pospisil, Popovic. It's both with a P. And it does sound like the same country or the same area at least. Oh, we see.
Right, man. But he
Mr. Straight. Very, very late braking. Or late early braking with Popovic almost outbraking himself and not knowing what to do there for a moment. Cairns and Maarten though, leader on the last lap. We heard the announcement. Cairns and Post is the battle that's going on. And then we've got Gillies, Wilbrink and McGowan. Two battles to be following, and we're gonna be looking at these guys because these guys are very, very close. We're gonna have a little sneak peek in between at these guys. Steve Gillies, Wilbrink and McGowan. McGowan is too far back, but Steve Gillies and Wilbrink have it all to play for. P5 on the line for these two guys, and P2 on the line for these two guys over here. Cairns very, very close behind Maarten Post. So let's see what's gonna happen here. We're now going through Hamilton and on our way to August where we are right now. And then it's gonna be the Williams corner and the Bentley Straight. The Bentley Straight, Maarten is gonna get some well-deserved breathing room, everybody. Because we're gonna try and have a look here with on board with Cairns and just look at that McLaren taking off, driving away. The Ginetta is in the slipstream, but the McLaren just goes. It's definitely a good first race, Matt. Definitely good and very clean as well. Minor incidents. Just 3 or 4 minor incidents and everybody is still on track without major damage or incidents between each other. And Post is going to keep that inside line. You see Cairns sniffing on that right hand inside. But Post just goes wide a little bit. That straight line speed should be able to get him over the line first, ladies and gentlemen. Side by side, very, very close. But Post takes P2. These guys, very, very close finish. As close as it can be almost. But then we have Gillies and Wilbrink. Gillies is well ahead. Wilbrink is just a little bit behind. And McGowan in P7. And we did need that helicam over there. But Cairns and Post. That McLaren straight line speed definitely saved Post over there. Because that was very, very a nose length ahead at the finish line. We've got Cherry Moore. We've got Vasic. Bringing it home in P12, and then it's Popovic way further behind. But Popovic has overtaken Stapley in that last lap though, so very well done for Popovic, and Stapley is gonna stay ahead of Marsden, I would say. Marsden, not Marsden. We're not in Red Dead Redemption 2, everybody. But Jay Lee is going to bring it home in 16th, and Broom is going to be here in P17, and then is Krupian just through the last corner and bringing it home in 18th with Privet. And a floppy bonnet BMW is going to bring it home in 19th with Pospisil having that little incident flying off the track behind Cherry Moore, Garrett Anderson and him as soon as we started talking about him being very consistent. But this is race 1, everybody. Race 1. And we've got Mizin in P1. We've got Post with a nose length ahead of Cairns. Just 1/10, everybody. Ahead of P3. Cairns, of course, we already talked about. Then we've got Matthias de Munster in P4. We've got Gillies in P5. And that's your top 5 for race 1. I am going to take a little break, everybody. We're going to stay here in the lobby, of course. But we're going to go have a little break, and we will be back in about 10 minutes right before the quali starts. So enjoy the break, grab a snack, grab a drink, and let's get ready for race number 2, everybody. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for qualifying number 2, and as I've seen in the chat, Steve Gillies, that was a huge amount of fun. The Snetterton delivers again. We've got Garrett Anderson, whoa, what a race. And of course you've got Martin Post, that was intense. And we've got Mr. Bird 600, I don't know who you are in the game of course, but I'll take a top 10 to be fair. So we've got a lot of happy messages from the guys on the track, and looking at the guys out on track again for that second qualifying of the night. Martin Post is again the first guy on the track. William Cairns is the second man on track. You've got Maiga there in P3 and Garrett Anderson in 4th, with Steve Gillies just behind Anderson, and then it's Stapley, the monster Wilbrink. But as always, I like to follow the first guy on track around, and we're gonna go into that POV cockpit camera for the first flying 11 disqualification. Second qualification of the night, this being the second of the race, the second of the qualifications before race number 2, of course. That that's what we should say, everybody. But Martin Post and William Cairns, I was happy I could find the button fast enough for that helicopter POV finish, but just a bonnet, just a hood, just a nose length away. It doesn't matter if it's the hood, if it's the bonnet, if it's a nose, wherever you're from, it was very tight. And we're gonna go on board, everybody, with a lap of Snetterton again with Mr. Martin Post in the number 36 McLaren GT4. A blue flag straight because of leaving the track. So we're gonna switch to Mr. Cairns. We had the first corner. Martin was pushing a little bit too hard, dirtied his lap right away, and now we're on board with William Cairns in the 229 Ginetta. Gonna get ready for the second race, everybody. Second race is gonna be in half an hour long again, and we still have that. I've seen some people say in the chat, where was the rain? I think it was somebody, but shame there was no rain. There is still cloud cover, and it is still dark cloud, so you never know. You never know what's gonna happen, and you see that Ginetta. Looking at it, it feels like it's a little bit understeery, but that might just be looks, everybody. That was Nelson to the bomb hole and on to what is called corner. A long right-hand corner. At the end, you want to hug that inside to open up the last corner as much as possible from what we've seen. Just over those curves, and we're gonna see what Cairns is gonna be putting on the board. .155.9. We saw Mizin in the last qualification doing a 55.0, everybody. So be prepared to see 55 zeros, and if somebody does a 54, Matt, you can take all the beers, you can ask Matt, or you can ask Matt to open up a tap and drink all night long. But no, 54s should be, Mizin is already in the 55.2, so don't listen to the broadcaster, that's what they always say, right? I don't think Matt is gonna open up a tab, so be prepared to party on your own tonight. But starting with the guys on the grid, we've got Mizin 55.2, Cairns with a 55.9, and the Monster with a 56.2. Then you've got a 56.4 for Maiga and a 56.4 for Vasic as well. Pospisil just under the 57 mark. 57 mark. So everybody outside the top 5 and also the guys inside the top 5 need to find some time to Mizin again. Mizin is having a little angel on his shoulders on Snetterton, because he seems to be finding those track limits very, very nicely tonight. This is the man. I won't say the myth, the legend, but he's definitely on fire tonight. Mr. Mizin. Cairns now 2 tenths behind, 55.4. That's already about the same time that he did in the qualifying number 1. Because he was 4 tenths behind, and then Post just slotted in before him with a gap of about 3 to 3.5 tenths behind Mizin. But 54.9, and yeah, that's why we do not open up tabs for everybody just breaking the 55.0s, because I mean, if Matt is not gonna play it, and if I would do it, we're gonna get broke, because everybody is gonna push for that 54. But 54.9, everybody, 5 tenths ahead of William Cairns again, and William Cairns is driving about the same time as he did in qualifying number 1, as we said. So Mizin is trying to, yeah, how do we say that? To put the bar higher every lap. So Mizin is absolutely flying. Looking at the times, Marta Post has some time to find, because he needs to find some time. I mean, English and Dutch, if you translate it literally, it's not always gonna be a good combination, but needs to find some time, as he's almost 9 tenths behind that 54.9, just under the 55.0s, and he was 3.5 tenths behind, so he did do a 55 low in qualification number 1. So Marta Post needs to get a move on and throw that bag of McDonald's out of the window. I don't even know if he eats McDonald's, but throw that bag of McDonald's out of the window, get both hands on the steering wheel, and get ready to fight for that 55.0, 54.8 possibly, you never know. As we see Cairns just going wide, coming through the first corner, and Matthias de Munster, we know he's very quick, we know he's very good in the battles, and Snetterton might not be his track, but nonetheless he is trying to push that AMG to the max. Then you've got Pospisil. The funny thing is, Pospisil was of course fighting with Cherry Moore and Anderson, and then he had a little moment there, went into the grass, but is currently in P5, ladies and gentlemen. So he was fighting for a P10 position in the last race, is currently qualified with just over a minute left in P5 ahead of Maiga, and believe me, Maiga is not slow at all. So Pospisil might have been sandbagging in race 1 to go all out in race number 2. Vasic in the pit lane. You've got Gillies, was in the chat, and huge amount of fun. So Gillies is currently in 8th place, but normally is pretty consistent in the race, and he's ahead of Wilbrink though, because he was fighting with Wilbrink, he was fighting with McGowan. And where do we see McGowan, ladies and gentlemen? McGowan has left the chat, or am I blind? I am not blind, ladies and gentlemen. McGowan is not in the race anymore. Lost a Chevy. We lost a Chevy on Snetterton tonight. And the victim is Mr. McGowan. Marta Post though, gets that McLaren back into P2 again. Just what was the gap between him and Cairns? Out of the top of my head, I believe it was 1500s, 1300s, something like that. Just a little bit over 100. So very, very good, and he's now almost a tenth ahead. With quali being over for Mizin. Mizin is not going to be improving, but what is Maarten Post going to do? With William Cairns behind him, and behind that is Matthias de Munster. We're going to follow these three guys around. I mean, you never know what Matthias is going to be pulling out of the head. You never know what Post is going to do, or Cairns. So these three guys very, very close together. I mean, Matthias has the biggest gap deficit to all of these two guys, but you never know what he's gonna do. It might be a miracle lap, it might be a once in a lifetime thing, and Maarten Post is done for today. So what is William Cairns gonna do on the Bentley straight? Gonna go through Nelson. You see Maiga there, I believe, in the background as well, pulling that car to the side or spinning out, so he's back to the pit lane. Might have been Anderson, by the way. It might have been Anderson. Grey AMG as well. William Cairns, second to last corner, almost at the end of it. It's gonna go left one more time. And is he gonna snatch P2 from Maarten Post? Matthias de Munster though, looks like he's getting closer and closer to Cairns, so this might be a flying lap for Matthias de Munster in that AMG. Matthias de Munster does improve, but stays in P4. Maarten Post stays in P2 and William Cairns in P3. So we've got our top three guys, everybody. We've got Mizin in 1, Maarten Post in 2, William Cairns in 3. The exact same order as race number 1. The only thing that's different is Matthias de Munster in P4 right now. Steve Gillies in P5, Pospisil in P6 and Maiga in P7 with Wilbrink in 8, Vasic in 9 and Cherry Moore in 10. Then we've got B. Winspear in 11. And we've got Garrett Anderson in P12, so a second P10 finishing position for Anderson is definitely up for grabs, I would say. With Winspear having a couple of moments in the last race, I believe. So if you put the pressure on, that could be happening. Popovic in P13, Privet in P14 and Gluhawk, who had that turn 1 incident in race number 1, is possibly gonna try and be a little bit more careful or try and stay on the inside this time instead of the outside. And blew it through the bomb hole. Well, be happy it's a bomb hole and not another hole, Steve. But Jamie Lee, or Jay Lee, I don't know if it's Jamie, is in a P16. You've got Cripion in 17 and you've got N. Broom in P18 with R. Stapley being in P19 and Marston in P20, everybody. And I do hate this camera. We do want this camera before the race starts.
30 seconds.
We've got the whole grid captured in one image over here, and I do like this kind of POVs. We should have stationary cameras just for the race starts like this, or as we go into, let's say, this camera. If you could just have one camera that you could like fix over here when the race starts, and you first let all the cars roll by for that warm-up lap, and then you're gonna go into the TV cams. With Steve Gillies blew it through the bomb hole. We've already seen it, we've already said it, and Matthew in the chat as well, with a very, very close qualifying. It is very close, and race 1 was very close as well. The first couple of laps on a track like Snetterton are gonna be chaotic, but once everybody finds their pace, finds their battle, everybody settles in, everybody gets the first kind of messy rounds, the messy laps done. This track, especially with the GT4 class, smaller and a little bit slower than the GT3s, are very, very good. I mean, we've seen a good race 1. Let's hope race 2 is gonna be just as good or even better now that everybody is dialed in completely. Sorry, I went a little bit quiet over here, ladies and gentlemen. I was preparing some after-stream cold beverages for myself tonight. So as soon as we get ready for possible podium interviews today, we will be grabbing a nice cold drink. But we're getting ready for the warm-up through Brundle, Nelson, and then the bomb hole, where Steve Gillies blew it. He blew it through the bomb hole, and be happy it was here in Snetterton and not at some sketchy place, Steve. So last corner coming up. It's gonna be Corsa, and we have said it already, almost 180 degrees, very long right-hander, and a lot of rubber on the outside. You do not want to get on that rubber, ladies and gentlemen. You see Mizin just slowing down, letting the field catch back up. Everybody is gonna go left and right in their respective positions. We are gonna hop into the helicam and we are gonna be looking at the start of today's race 2 of round number 6 of the Whodarron Cup at Snetterton. See Marta post very close to the lead. We're gonna get green in a couple of seconds. Green. Here we are already. We've got Mizin in P1 on the inside. Marta Post in P2 on the outside. Cairns in P3 on the inside for Matthias de Munster. Matthias de Munster slots in behind Cairns, and Post doesn't make a move. You've got Steve Gillies very close behind Matthias de Munster, and Pospisil just goes wide. And do we have any major incidents? No incidents, and we do see car number 8, Popovic, leaving the pit lane. Mizin still in P1, Post in P2, and Matthias de Munster as well, with Gillies following close behind. Pospisil has fallen back 2 or 3 positions, is now fighting with. Is that was that Croupion? Everybody, was that Croupion, or am I lying? That's Vasic. The black and orange is Vasic. But we are in the helicam still. We are gonna hop over to the TV cams. Then we can see a little bit more of what's happening. As we said before, the first couple of laps are gonna be chaotic at Snetterton. As soon as the field finds its pace, it's gonna be very refreshing to see a little bit. I mean, I won't say more battling, but it's gonna be very refreshing to see more different battles. Like, we know the guys, Mizin, Post, Cairns, the Monster, Gillies, Maiga, will bring Pospisil and possibly Garrett Anderson and Jeff. Oh, and you see Steve Gillies going off there. I don't know exactly what happened. We did make a replay, everybody, so we are going to look at what happened over there just in a couple of seconds. But Gillies didn't lose a lot of time, did lose a little bit of time, but is on the inside of Windspear now, the purple cape. Side by side, almost side by side, just a little bit behind Windspear, coming up on the straight. For the moment, everybody, for the moment, with all this chaos happening, we're gonna do the same as we did before. We have a little possible train of Easy, Post, Cairns, and the Monster. We are gonna follow these 4 guys around for about one to 2 more laps. Then we're gonna be looking at how the field is spreading out and picking our battles, because we do not want anybody to get dizzy or having all sorts of attacks because of switching right screens all the time. nice thing to see is, and what it's looking like is, it seems like for now Matthias de Munster is able to stay closer behind the top 3 than he was in race 1. So I don't know what kind of Red Bull Matthias drank, but it might have been the good stuff. This is a nice POV, right? As we said before, if you see all these, if you could fix this camera, you could just see all these guys driving past. But we have one more lap done, and we see a couple of guys very close together here as well. Especially here, we've got Privet leading this pack in the BMW. Or I must say, we've got Gluak leading this pack in. We've got Andrew, you've got Gillis, you've got Marsden, all very close behind, and you've got Stapley here as well. So this is where the action is happening. We're gonna go put the camera on Steve Gillis, and you can see all of these guys. You've got, as we said, Privet is the BMW. Gluhak is catching Privet, so this whole pack of cars is catching up to Privet in the green BMW M4. And Steve Gillis eager to get back into P10, P8, P7 position. You never know, that might be a little bridge too far, but especially here behind Gillis, you've got Nick Broom, P. Marsden, R. Stapley. These guys are very close. Oh, and Steve Gillis needs to get the speed out of it very fast there. With Blue up very impatient. We're gonna lovely moment there for Gluak. I think I was going to say Gluak is very eager to start getting closer to Privet, but is pushing so hard and has a little bit of oversteer in that Alpine. You see Gillis having to brake mid-corner, getting that back end of the Ginetta out completely, almost Tokyo drifting to try and avoid. He did try to slow down, they do touch, and Gluak is very unlucky, losing time again. And looking at the lobby, Gluak has indeed immediately left the lobby and is back home drinking a beer. And I would possibly like it's not good to say and it's not wise to say, but I do understand where he's coming from. I do understand where he's coming from. So Stapley, very nicely done to let Gillis. But he's probably thinking to himself, Gillis way faster than me. I'm not going to lose any time battling him, and I do not want to have an incident. So just let him go and live to fight another day and get into the rhythm. Stapley is a real good guy on the consistency. So. Just let him cook, I would say. Let him cook. In the front, we've got Martin Post still in P2. We've got William Cass still 7 tenths in front of the Munster. So Matthias de Munster, as we said, is definitely keeping up way better than he was in race 1. So I would just like to say, Matthias, maybe start practicing 2 hours before the race next time and get these guys under pressure. Garrett Anderson though is 3 seconds behind P8. Started in P12 as we said, is now P9. With a little bit of luck of course, with Steve Gillis falling away to the back. You've got Gluak, I believe, was ahead of him, I believe. Has left the race. And a little bit of luck. Everybody needs a little bit of luck in life, but in the race as well. Gillis though is 2 tenths behind Broom. Is definitely going to be trying making moves. He is faster than these guys. He's going to be trying to make moves, and here he goes up on the inside, like we saw Cairns do by Martin Post in race number 1. We do have, of course, I was going to say something else, but we do of course have Nick Broom flashing to another driver. I don't know what it was for, but yeah, he was flashing. But we do of course have that little replay set. They both have a little moment going, yeah, if you cut off somebody, you spin around. The guy gets a little bump, also almost spins out. They do touch each other. I would say racing incident, but as we say, I'm not a steward. I'm not going to be judging that. All we see is the replay, and I think it was just a misunderstanding or a different kind of insight. Like Luak did look like he was going wide a little bit. Steve Gillies might have thought to himself, I'm going on the inside. Luak thought to himself, there's the apex, I want to get that apex. There's all sorts of things that come to mind, but we are here to commentate on a race, everybody. We see the gaps at the front getting a little bit bigger. Mizin is 1.7 ahead of Post. Cairns is 1 second behind Post. And the monster is chasing Cairns in P3 with 1.5 seconds behind. Then we've got Wilbrink though, just behind Maiga, and Pospisil getting very, very close. And instead of following Gillies around, trying to catch back up to the midfield pack or getting ahead of the midfield pack, we are gonna look over here. We see Maiga in the grey AMG leading this pack of 3. We've got Wilbrink in that recognizable white on black with green Aston Martin, and then you've got Pospisil in that blue Chevy that was stuck behind Garrett Anderson, and Cherry Moore in race number 1 is now behind Wilbrink. Again, the third car in a train. Let's hope he's going to keep it on the track here, right at this position where he went flying into the grass. See there in the back Vasic in that orange on black AMG, the 381, but Vasic too far away to be called a member of this pack. It's Maiga, Wilbrink and Pospisil. It's AMG versus Aston versus Chevy. 2 turbocharged V8s versus 1 naturally aspirated. Or supercharged, ladies and gentlemen. I believe it's supercharged to not make any mistakes. Talking about these cars while we are not looking at a major battle going on. Talking about these cars, that gives me something to do when I'm working next week or working from Thursday again. And that's gonna be looking up all the displacements of these cars. V-turbo, twin turbo, naturally aspirated, supercharged, twin supercharged. You never know, right? We're just gonna... I just gave myself a little bit more work to do. We're gonna find out how much HP, how much displacement, what kind of engine it is, what kind of layout. So yeah, thank you SimPlay Stream for more work. Looking at the gaps, everybody, we've got, of course, here we've got Maiga, we've got Wilbrink. At the front we still have a couple of big gaps, although we see Cairns coming back to Post by about 2-3 tenths. And then Pospisil, of course, here behind Wilbrink in P7. Then you've got Cherry Moore getting closer to Anderson again. So this might be a battle starting to happen, everybody. And it is. Cherry Moore is getting closer and closer. So Garrett Anderson, get that. I mean, what do we say? I want to say something crazy, but we're not going to do that. Garrett Anderson going wide off the track there. And that's the moment for Cherry Moore to pick up the pace and start getting all over that backside of Garrett Anderson's AMG. still have 8 tenths for Cairns to post. We've got Maiga, Wilbrink and Prosper still in the same kind of order with the same kind of gaps, but Cherry Moore and Garrett Anderson, the roles are reversed. It's Garrett Anderson that's under pressure right now, and Cherry Moore trying to chase down Garrett Anderson for a P9 position. Stapley as well ahead of Jay Lee, but Jay Lee went off the track completely there, and Winspear as well. Winspear went off as well, so we see what I believe is Marston with a very floppy bonnet Aston Martin. We see Winspear going off, and we saw Jay Lee coming back on the track. Did these guys, with the three of them, have a little incident, or was it all separated? We do not have more POVs than just my POV, so that's not what we can check. That's very, very weird, or very, very sad that we can't check all what's happening. But Stapley is trying, and if I'm correct, is this AMG? Is that Popovic? Yes, it is. Stapley was trying to get a move on Popovic, Vasic and Popovic, but Popovic goes off turn 2 completely, just outbrakes himself, goes off completely, and that's Stapley taking that position, and is now free to race. Has a whole gap of about what is it, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, maybe longer to Privet. So he's got all the space he needs to get into the rhythm if he can keep Jay Lee in a comfortable position halfway through the race as well. And Maiga, Wilbrink and Prosper. Wilbrink and Maiga, ladies and gentlemen, getting it on. Getting it on. These guys are starting to make it a heated battle. Split time says less than a tenth, but these guys are side by side exactly at where the split time is calculated. But this battle is gonna get very, very nice, because you've got these guys ahead and Pospisil. Like we said before, I do not want to jinx it again, but is probably just being patient, letting these guys battle, trying to be safe, I guess. When these guys start making mistakes, Pospisil is gonna try and snatch that P5 position and gain 2 in one pass. But Wilbrink is defending. He feels Pospisil is there. He feels, oh, these guys make a little mistake, and that's what Pospisil was waiting for. That's what Pospisil was waiting for, and already said it. He's probably being patient, probably just biding his time and being safe, and now he's gonna try and get the Chevy to move and create a little comfortable gap for himself, because the guys ahead of him are far, far ahead, almost 12 seconds. Cherry Moore, ladies and gentlemen, still behind Garrett Anderson. And while we have that battle done, we're gonna have a little look at maybe a little bit like a smidge too late, and just collects the back end of Maiga steering in and half spins him, but does do the decent thing, the gentlemanish thing to do, wait for him. But Pospisil was of course the laughing third in that battle, and got the position he was looking for so long. Good thing at the front is Cairns is trying to get closer and closer, and it's working. So he's made up 2 more tenths again, 7 tenths behind P2 right now. And in the midfield, or at the end of the field, we've got Stapley fighting with Popovic. Popovic just overtakes him, and you see Winspear just braking early there to not completely completely block off or have an incident with stapling. Possibly thinking we do have a little slipstream on the straight here at Snetterton. And it came and swings out wide to the left side to overtake Stapley, get that slipstream. But Stapley is a very wise driver in my opinion. So he's possibly waiting for Winspear, Popovic and Lee to have a little moment again, and we'll take that position back. Winspear being that purple Cayman, we've got Popovic, the orange on black AMG, and then of course Jamie Lee just a little further ahead in that purple yellow AMG. Funny thing is, with no major battles going on, we do have of course Pospisil, who took 2 positions, went from P7 to P5, and Maiga went from P5 to P6 with Wilbrink also losing 1 position because of Pospisil being there. But Maiga is now trying to stay close to Pospisil and possibly even getting closer again, because Pospisil seems like a very patient driver, but he might have the pace to follow, he might not have the pace to stay ahead, and that's what we're gonna find out, ladies and gentlemen, because following, having a slipstream, somebody laying out the lines for you, and that's I would say easier than being under pressure. Looking for a top 3 battle, ladies and gentlemen, but the battle is not happening. The battle is not happening like it was in race 1. But of course we've got other guys that are making the show. We've got these 2 guys, Pospisil and Maiga. Then it's Wilbrink who has just fallen behind a little bit, but if Wilbrink can pick up the pace again with these 2 guys when they start battling, or if they get close enough for battling or start making small mistakes, that 3.2 second gap can disappear in less than a couple of corners. Garrett Anderson is well ahead of Jerry Moore now. Jerry Moore has possibly, I won't say has, but has possibly made a couple of mistakes, and Garrett Anderson has breathing room, so that gives him the time to focus on his own racing instead of looking too much into the mirrors. And we've got Jamie Lee getting closer to Popovic, everybody, so we've got battles happening, not as much as in race 1, but there are battles and everybody is trying to fight for their respective positions. Battle for P15 right here. We've got Popovic in the orange on black AMG, you've got Jay Lee in the yellow and purple AMG, and then you've got Winspear there in the purple Cayman. And Jay Lee was far ahead, 3.2 seconds I believe, 2.9 of Popovic just 1 or 2 laps ago, but he's lost a little bit of ground fast, so Jay Lee might just be making a little bit more mistakes than he would want to. You see Winspear, and Winspear with that Cayman, it's like a little nimble fish, I would say. Like it's not a shark, it's more like a barracuda, right? He's trying to quickly get maneuvers done, but sometimes I think he's a little bit too impatient and has to brake or has to abort the move, because if he persists, it's gonna end up in tears. So I think Winspear is having the pace. I think he is faster than these guys ahead of him, but I think he's just a little bit too impatient, like we said. He needs to just wait it out a little bit longer. Oh, and that Cayman and Jamie Lee as well. These 2 guys back to back or behind each other, both having a big moment there in of course T1, and that's damage to the front end for Jay Lee. Winspear saves it, but was so focused, I believe, on Jay Lee that they both went too much to the inside, hit that curb completely, and they both bounce off to the left outside of the track, with Winspear saving it, and Jay Lee half spinning and having too much speed in the car to stop before the barrier. So off you go to the left, and then you slam it into the barrier on the right. That's the kind of thing cars do when you crash. You try and save it, you try and catch it, and then possibly thinking to yourself, it might have been better to put down the throttle and make it a full 360 to stay out of the barriers at least. But that's all in hindsight, and in hindsight we can talk about all the stuff that happened yesterday. So Gillies though, back in P11, is P10 I should say, because he has just passed Cherry Moore, and with 6 more minutes to go he's got about a 4.8 second gap, 4.5 second gap to Garrett Anderson. So is Steve Gillies going to be able to reel in P9? I don't think he's going to get to Vasic, but P9 could be a possibility with him blasting across the Snetterton track in the Ginetta. He's in though, driving away with it today. 7 seconds ahead of P2, and William Cairns in P3 is 2 seconds behind P2. Then you've got the Monster 5 seconds. So the Monster could, Matthias de Munster has been following P2 and P3 very nicely at the beginning of this. Oh, and that's Steve Gillies going off completely in the Agostini corner. And as we were talking about him definitely trying to go for P9, he just loses 1, 2, 3 positions again, and is now falling back behind Privet. So it's gonna be a whole battle to even get back into the P10 or top 10 in this Snetterton race. Luckily we had that on the cameras, everybody, because we do still have that incident with Winspear and Jay Lee saved. So if I start saving this incident now, we're gonna have a little quick look at Winspear and Jay Lee. Gillies in P13 gonna try and make a move on Privet, of course, and then he's gonna try and get back to P10, but that's a whole length. That's way too far. He's gonna be lucky if he's gonna be able to get back in P11 with the Croupion maybe making a mistake, but I was gonna say Croupion is far ahead. Make a move on Privet, try and go to Croupion. 3 more minutes, I think that's about 2 or 3 more laps, depending on where the leaders are at that moment. But that's going to be a hard job, ladies and gentlemen. Just a little bit, not too much though, not too much. And we're gonna go on to the Bentley straight. Steve Gillies up on the inside, possibly tries to get a better exit, and he's gonna try and make a move on that BMW going up onto the Brundle corner, going to the left, or the Nelson one. You never know. He might save it for the last corner, the second to last as well. He will try and build up that momentum here through these corners. Nelson, then it's through the bomb hole. The bomb hole. It's not the B-U-M, the B-O-M-B hole, everybody. I mean, my English is not the best, but let's make that clear, everybody. Oh, tries to carry a little bit more speed. And it's Privet defending that inside. Steve Gillies trying to go for that switch, but I think that BMW is a little bit faster on the straight. So Steve Gillies is going to have to do it in the first half of the second sector on this track. In the front though, Mizin almost 9 seconds ahead. Cairns 1.2 seconds behind P2 in the Monster 6.6. Other than this battle going on the track, you've got Wilbrink 1.1 behind Vasic. Maiga 2.7 behind Pospisil. So Pospisil, even though he went off completely in race 1, is having a very, very decent and well-deserved result in race number 2. If he does nothing crazy, of course. Then you've got all big gaps basically. Winspear and Popovic are fighting, but these guys are a three-man battle where Gillies has overtaken Privet in the M4, and now Gillies is gonna have his eyes set on that P11 position with maybe one more lap to go.
Good was on the final lap down. Give it all you can.
As we said that they of course will do one more lap because the leader is not going to lap him anymore. So Gillies is going to have one more lap to overtake Croupion in that Chevy, and then not make a mistake and bring that car home in P11. As I was checking some Discord things, we have Gillies trying to get past, but start-finish straight is too long for that Ginetta to do anything against that Chevy. Gillies is past, everybody. Gillies is past, and we're gonna save that little replay, and we're gonna have a little look at that. Being an overtake in the last Corsa. Finished the race. It's Mizin in P1, it's Post in P2, and it's Cairns in P3, with the Monster bringing it home in P4 and stopping right after the pit exit. So trying to be safe, to not be crashed into, I guess. And then we have Mr. Pospisil coming here, bringing it home in P5, just ahead of Maiga, who is bringing it home in 6th. Vasic gonna come across the line just ahead of Wilbrink. Wilbrink is possibly gonna try and do an overtake, but not gonna happen. It's Wilbrink in P8, and then it's Anderson here crossing the line in P9. One more position up from race 1, so that's a definite good night for him. And then it's Cherry Moore now in P10 with Gillies. Here he is, P11, last lap overtake on Croupion in the Chevy, and P11 for him. Croupion in P12, Privet in P13, and then it's Nick Broom in 14th. With Popovic coming here in that orange on black AMG, who we've seen fighting, who we've seen making mistakes, and of course then we have R. Stapley coming home in 16th, and Winspear here. Mr. Barracuda, as we said, a little bit too impatient, is fast, makes a little bit of a couple of mistakes, but brings it over the finish line in P17. We've got Jay Lee in P18 and P. Marsden in 19th. We see Gluhawk and McGowan. These guys left the lobby, I believe. Marsden as well. But yeah, very sad to see McGowan gone, and Gluhawk as well. Gluhawk had a little run-in with what I believe was Steve Gillies, in fact, and McGowan possibly had a I mean, he was gone so fast, possibly had an incident when the race started. So yeah, that's our race 2 done. if we are here still in the race, I will be going into the comms box on SimPlay to possibly have a couple of drivers join in on the fun for a little interview.
Green light. Go, go, go.
Hello, hello, Marten. Hello, hello. Click some settings, as I might have the wrong settings, everybody. Yes, I do. Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? All right, I can hear you guys now too. I had a wrong Discord setting for the audio, so. But I'm waiting for Mr. Possibly Cairns or maybe someone else. But I think it's gonna be the two of you guys. So Mr. Mizin, P1 in both races, we should say. $50.0 in qualifying 1, 49.9 in quali 2. Yes. That's good, because I was looking at it, 55.0, you were right, and 54.9 indeed. So if you just put 5 liters in next time, is it gonna be a 54 point low in lap 1 or? To see you a little bit more on the broadcast, but can't hear the drivers. Oh, that's really weird. That's really weird. I'm gonna try and get the Discord connected again. Comsbox, can you guys say hello for me for a second? Hello, hello. That's really, really weird. I'm just gonna quickly thank you for the info, Garrett. That's very well done. I'm gonna quickly include you guys. This should be a easy fix. And then we go to here. All right. I think we're back now, boys. I think we're back. We should be.
All right.
Yes, there we are, I believe. But yeah. We would have loved to show you a little bit more on the broadcast, but you have been driving alone for most of the race, most of the both races, Mizin.
Oh, well, I was just doing my best. Hope I'll manage to do more Whodarron Cup races, because I didn't have time before. But yeah, I love GT4 is really great.
It's you know what's funny? We have a Dutch guy in Formula One who says, "I don't care if it's boring if I drive alone, because at least you know it's going well, right?"
Kind of, in most of the case, yeah. I would say if there is two of you and your opponent is bot, then it's not the case, probably.
Yeah, but very well done, man. Great qualifying. Both qualifyings went very, very well, and yeah, I would say you deserve a nice cold drink like I am drinking right now, Mizin.
Well, I actually gonna go and get something after this. I will also wanted to point out a Martin post,
Yep.
right? Well done with race one start. That was a really good start, and I was like, well, is he gonna keep it on the outside?
Thanks.
The thing is, Mercedes is a tractor on the straight line. It like doesn't have six gear. It does, but it's very, very slow in a straight line. And once I ended up behind Aston Martin and Camaro, the Chevy, and I couldn't do anything with them, despite my pace was slightly higher, and I was just hanging on their rear bumper. And I was quite scared of hanging on your rear bumper, because McLaren is just an airplane on the straight. I think he was
Yeah.
gaining like 3/10 every straight line. So yeah, it was close. If you would make it happen, I would struggle. I would really struggle.
Yeah, overtaking on this track, it's really difficult, and the straight line speed of the McLaren, it's just insane.
We actually we were on board in the cockpit with Cairns in the Ginetta, and you guys were going over the Bentley straight. You can just see the McLaren pull away completely. It's absolutely it's not like you're standing still, but you see it actually visually pulling away.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's also what saved you in the finish on race one last corner, Martin.
Oh yeah, luckily I made a small mistake there. Hit the curb on the inside, went wide. So yeah, I was cursing a little bit, and then senior Mr. Cairns pulled up alongside, and I had to floor it. Just hope that the straight was long enough to manage to finish in P2.
I don't know if you've seen it back already, but we've got that finish of race one in the helicam. So
Oh, nice.
yeah. It was
I'll
very.
most
It was a
definitely,
nose. It was a
review it.
nose.
Yeah. Awesome, nice.
So
nice.
while Mizin was already cooling off in the pit box, being so far ahead, you guys were very, very sweaty there behind him.
Yeah, I was sweating all of that race. Race two as well. Senior Mr. Cairns, he was really close. I could all of the time I could see his headlights getting on me in the corners. In the straights, I could pull away a little bit. So yeah, it was really a good race. Loved the battles in P1 in race one.
We saw you guys battling, and then at one point, I think it was race one. At one point, we saw you on a little straight. We saw you just flashing Cairns a little bit, like.
Yeah.
I'm like, these guys are battling. He's just trying to get him out of his comfort zone, I believe.
Yep. That was exactly what I was trying. Well, Cairns, he's an experienced driver, so he wouldn't have mind.
I think I said that. I mean, I say so many things on the broad, but I think I said these guys are experienced, so a little bit of flashing is not gonna hurt anybody.
Yeah.
But race two as well, man. You had quite the start, and you did slot in right behind Mizin quite nicely. You had a little gap behind, but yeah. Cairns got a little closer in the end, but most of the race you were comfortably slotted in between Mizin and Cairns, so that would have been a way better feeling than race one, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But still, the pressure was on race two. Sometimes he gained a bit, sometimes he lost a bit of track. But yeah, I had to push flat out to maintain the gap.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's not my favorite track. I do know the track a little bit, and especially after the Bentley straight, you've got the left-hander and then the tight right-hander, right? You wanna stay left as close as possible. But I did see a couple of guys just going in for that second right-hander, go a little bit too close to that curb, and if you do touch that curb, you're gonna bounce off that sausage so hard. And I believe Mr. Garrett Anderson was one of them who barely avoided it, chasing someone down, but. in the chat, he had a nice midfield battle with Cherry Moore. Cherry Moore was good at Laguna, I believe, last week, but yeah, he was not in the picture for podiums or top 5 finishes today. But all of you, I believe, Matthias had 4th place 2 times in a row tonight. You had 2nd place 2 times in a row. Misen had 2 times in a row 1st place. Cairns had 2 times in a row 3rd place. So you guys were really at it at the front, and especially race 1, it showed. You guys, yeah, Misen was gone, of course, but the battles were very, very nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Loved these races, and
your mate
congrats to
Wilbrink-
Mizin as well.
Your mate Wilbrink had a little bit of a how shall we say it, an unlucky night, or a little bit harder night than you had, Mart.
Yeah, he had a tough race. Couldn't really get the Austin going on this track. He was a bit off pace because of the setup. So yeah, he was a little bit behind.
Yeah. All right. Well, same as I said to Mr. Vlad, Mr. Mimis, grab a cold one and enjoy your evening.
Thank you a lot. I appreciate it. I enjoyed it, and have a good night, guys. See you later, hopefully.
See you
Right,
later.
see you
Mizin,
next
and,
time.
See you next time, Martin.
Yes, thanks
Bye.
for broadcasting. Right,
Yes,
see ya.
no problem. It's fun, and also to the chat as well. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for joining in. We're gonna go to the ending of the stream. We're gonna let it run for 1 or 2 minutes so you guys all know that the stream has ended. And after that, you can possibly already watch back the whole race of tonight. So thank you all for joining in. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a good one. See you all later. Peace out.